Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Sunday Live Show. Glad that you're with me here today. We have some good pictures to go through and a bunch of great questions, I'm sure. We also want to give a shout out to carcostcanada.com. Carcostcanada.com. That's where you do a search for a specific car. Say you're looking for, let's pick the best selling passenger vehicle, a RAV4, and you want an XLE. You type in the RAV4 XLE, and then you'll find out what the dealer actually paid for that car. Not the retail price, the wholesale price. Very powerful information. So that's carcostcanada.com. You sign up using the promo code MotorMouth. That's the name of the channel. Okay, we have lots of great pictures to get into, so let's do that now. And if you want to get a picture in, you send it to zack@motormouth.ca. That's Z-A-C-K at motormouth.ca or Z-A-C-K at motormouth.ca if you're American. Don't forget, we have the super chats. If you want to just have to absolutely get a question answered, you can do it in a super chat. First of all, we're going to do our pictures. And this one is from Prasant, who sent this in. It's a 2020 Audi RS6 Technic in Tornado Red. What a beautiful car. You know me, I'm not a huge fan of black wheels, but come on. That looks good. You know why it looks good? Because it has the bright outer rim of the wheel. It shows you the size of the wheel. When it's all black, you can't see how big the wheel is. All right, the next one up is one I missed last week, but I got it in now. Where is it here? This is from Sydney. He traded in his 2021 G70. That's an Infinity. And G70 is, did I say an Infinity? A Genesis, I should say. And he got a 2023 GMC Terrain Denali. When are you going to review the GMC? Don't have any plans for it. They got to be in the fleet, unfortunately. We've had an Equinox, but not the GMC equivalent. This man is after my own heart here. This is Andrew, who has a new Explorer 2. He said it just arrived from the authorized dealer. It's been a great few months. He got a Macan S and then a new Rolex. Nice one. Solid flex. Good for you. This one is interesting. This is from, let me just find it here. I got to, yeah, this is from Matthew. The last one was Andrew. This one's Matthew. He sent a picture of his last two cars, a black Audi Allroad A6 and his convertible Mustang. He was at his local dealer picking up his wife's new Q7, and they had a Cayenne S there. He ended up trading in the All-6 Allroad, which he really loved and couldn't pass up the opportunity to move into a Porsche, and he's loving it. So two white cars, an Audi Q7 and a Porsche Cayenne S. That's a good combination. I think you'll miss the A6 a little bit, though. Having that's a unique car. No, a Cayenne is a great car, of course. We have two of them, but an all-road is pretty neat. Okay, this is from KPKP. He said, here's a blast from the past. It's his 2002 GTI VR6 from the Fast and Furious styling. Slammed down there. He said his neighbors didn't like it, and they used to give him tickets. But he still has the car and it's in pristine shape. It's a 24-valve VR6 6-speed with 70,000 kilometers. That's pretty cool. The VR6 era of the GTI, that wasn't around for long. I see you had the suspension lowered. The problem with that car when it was new is the suspension was really soft. It's like Volkswagen tried to make the GTI a Luxo barge. With the VR6, so it needed some suspension tweaks for sure. Okay, this is a really cool one. This is from Scott. He said he was digging through some old pictures and he found this one. It's a 1966 Pontiac Catalina 2+2 with a high output 421 tri-power with a 4-speed manual, of course. It's his mom and his dad. That's pretty cool to have that picture. The one thing I'll say about that, first of all, so this is obviously the mid-60s. First of all, you've got a Pontiac Catalina with a 4-speed and a high-output engine. But just look how trim everybody is in the 60s, right? It's before we all got fat. In the 60s, everybody looked good. My son showed me a picture of a picture from, I think it was the Gold Coast in Australia from the 1960s, and there was a beach full of people, all of them skinny, right? This one is from our pal Jerome, who sends pictures in regularly, and this is just showing how few cars there are at the Toyota dealership, and there's no cars in the dealership, so that's a pretty sad state of affairs. And then we have one more. And this one is from Josh in Montreal. He was stopping by the showroom of VinFast in Laval. It's the VF9. He thinks it's a potential Q7 or QX60 killer if they don't come out with an EV soon. He says the quality feels cheap on the... He says, I feel the quality is on the cheap side like a Lincoln, but what do I know? I sit on vinyl seats in a Tesla. You know, the thing about the VF9, I think she is a really cool looking vehicle. I just don't know how VinFast is going to do with the pricing of their products in light of, you know, Tesla dropping prices. It's going to be really, really hard. So thanks to everybody. I just want to make sure I didn't miss one. Got Scott, KP, Josh, Jerome, Matthew, Andrew, Sydney, Prasant. Okay, I got them all in because I have been known to miss two things. Super chats, and that's bad on me, and a picture here and there. So we got them all in. So speaking of super chats, we already have some that have come in here. So thank you to those who have taken part already. Here's James, tripping with Dumas. Hey, I'm here. Haven't been since December. Tires. I'm going to purchase BF Goodrich Trail Terrains for the CX-30. Thoughts? I don't, you know, I know about tires. I just don't follow all of the individual lines of tires. I don't see why it wouldn't be good. The only thing is, you know, living in snowy conditions, is that rated with a mountain snow peak symbol for driving in snowy conditions? I'm not really sure. So first of all, I appreciate the super chat, especially since I don't have an answer for you. But one thing you can do is you can go to TireRack.com. That's the big US tire portal. You type in your CX-30, the size of the wheel and all of that, and it'll come up with suggestions for you, and it'll help you narrow it down for the kind of driving that you're doing. So if you want to put in like an all-terrain tire, you could see what they suggest. It's not a bad way to narrow down your search. You don't have to buy from them, but it's a good tool. Excuse me. Danny's saying, just saw a commercial today for Nissan's new all-electric Aria. Any thoughts about it? Do you plan to review one in the near future? Thanks. We were invited to go to drive the Aria the week of March 20th. Excuse me. And we can't go. We're going to be in New York City for a week. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to drive it then. So we were supposed to get it in a couple of weeks. Now, Nissan has said they are going to try and get us into the car as soon as possible. My problem with the Aria, having not driven it, I've seen it, doesn't look so bad, is the problem is the price of it. In Canadian dollars, it starts at $52,000 for front-wheel drive. 52 grand for front-wheel drive. I'm sorry. If you don't have an all-wheel drive model starting at that price, you're kind of missing, and you go up from there for all-wheel drive. It just seems to me that the pricing is out of whack. Sure, you're going to get rebates in the Canadian market, $5,000 from the feds, but I don't know. It just seems to me that the price is too high. Here's Sam. Thank you for the super chat, Sam. With new unibody trucks like the Maverick being such a huge success, do you expect Honda to invest more heavily in the next generation Ridgeline? I don't think they will. They already have a Ridgeline that's been successful. It's built on the Pilot platform and the Pilot platform, basically. So now there's a new Pilot that has got more rugged off-road capabilities. That tells us that probably the Ridgeline will have maybe more of the off-road capabilities added into it. I think one of the best advertisements for the Ridgeline is the introduction of the Maverick and of the Santa Cruz from Hyundai. So these two new entries in the sort of small truck space that are unibody designs are actually a really good ad for the Ridgeline, because people look at the Maverick and they go, oh, that's kind of neat. I kind of like that idea. A small little runaround pickup truck that's not a real truck. It's a unibody design. Santa Cruz, that's kind of fun. Wait a second. What's that over there? That's a Honda Ridgeline, more capability, bigger bed, 3.5-liter V6, conventional automatic transmission, same size interior as the Pilot, and you get much more in the Ridgeline than you do in those other two trucks. So I think it's actually been a really good ad for them, is those two competitors. Now, they're probably going to fine tune and tweak their offering in the marketplace in light of them. I don't see them changing the formula too much. Maybe adding, they already have sort of a more aggressive off-road package for that truck already. But I think, the Ridgeline is great. And I think for a lot of people, that's all the truck they need. Because as you know, a lot of people just haul air in their pickup truck. Okay, up to the top we go. And we have had some keeners on from early. Sanjeev is always first, usually most weeks. Why is Infiniti not electrifying their vehicle like Toyota and Kia and Ford and Mazda? Nissan, which is the best reliable SUV? That's a combination of things. I think we have yet to see what the master plan is for Infiniti. We saw the QX60 come out based on the Pathfinder, but we really haven't seen anything else. The Q50 sedan is ancient. That might be one of the oldest vehicles on the market. It came out, I'm trying to remember now, right around, somebody could look it up. I think it's around 2010. It's been around for ages. So that car is ancient. The QX50 is not the right vehicle for the marketplace. Variable compression, turbo with a CVT, with an old dash, that needs to be replaced. So Infiniti has a lot of work to do with just their conventional vehicles. Then they could take the Aria and turn it into an Infiniti, no problem. That is something that they could absolutely do. But you're right. They don't just have to worry about electrification. They got to worry about their full lineup. The only one that's really good is the QX60, and that was the right choice for them to do because that's their best seller. But outside of that, I think it's pretty much crickets at the Infiniti dealer. Sanjeev again. Hey Jack, love the content. Can you do a review on the Highlander Platinum? It's on a short list. Okay. There is a review of the Toyota Highlander already on the channel. There's a review of the Toyota Highlander Hybrid on the channel. We don't have obviously the Grand Highlander yet because that hasn't been made available to drive. But the videos we did of the other ones are still relevant. The pricing will have changed, but the information and the way it drives, nothing really has changed. Here's KP again. Just heard from the Ford rep that the ECU in the new Mustang will be locked. Do you think that will be the future for all automakers to lock the ECU from aftermarket tuners? Yeah, I think so. I think that people that have these cars know that if they monkey around with the computer in the car and then they try to make some warranty claims, that can be an issue. So how locked down they're going to make them, I'm not sure, but it's something you have to be very careful of when you get in there and start monkeying when the car's inside warranty. Okay, here's Scott, who sent the picture of his folks. He said, highly recommended tire rack. I bought all season set for his Mustang GT and have them swapped in the driveway every 6 months. Super professional and affordable. So that's a U.S. service. We don't get that in Canada, but Tire Rack is great. It's a great reference point, even if you don't buy the tires from them. And if you're in the U.S., I don't see why you wouldn't. They do have competitive prices, and Scott just mentioned great service. But if you're in Canada and you don't want to deal with getting tires across the border, you can do your research on Tire Rack and then shop locally. But thanks for the super chat. Another super chat. Love you and Andrea. Thanks for all you do. Great content. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Oh, I was just going to say, did someone look up the Q50? Yeah, this is Zoner said, Infiniti lost their way with the with the G37. I couldn't agree with you more. Infiniti had a real following with the G35 and then the G37. This was a car that had a real following. People loved them. They were fantastic cars in the secondary market, highly, highly reliable. They became a favorite of the tuner crowd. And then they blew it up and they changed the nomenclature of their entire lineup of vehicles. I used to email the PR person from Infiniti and bug her and say, what car is that again? It's the Q what? Is that, and I would go back and forth playing an idiot because I'm good at that. But it was really confusing at first. Why did they get rid of the G cars? They actually had something with the G cars and they blew it up. Makes no sense to me. Okay. Another super chat. This is from Mario. No question, but thank you. That's very nice of you. It's good to be spoiled. Okay. So here's Sam. How long should owners of electric vehicles keep their vehicle to really make the purchase profitable? Well, that's really dependent on what you do with it and where you live and how much you drive. Somebody that's driving, I'll use kilometers, 25,000 kilometers a year, say about 15,000 miles, 18,000 miles a year, the savings can add up really quite quickly. If you drive less than that, it might take you longer, depending on the price difference between the same size vehicle, gas and electric. So the problem is right now is that the most popular vehicles are compact SUVs, RAV4 CRVs, Rogues, Equinox, that sort of class of vehicle, right? If you replace them with electrification, they're much more expensive. Now, we still have to wait and drive the new Chevy Equinox EV that's coming this year and the Chevy Blazer. General Motors has promised they're going to be, budget friendly. Well, they might have nothing in them. We'll have to wait and see what the final announcement is on that, but that's something we got to watch. But to replace right now a conventional gas or hybrid compact utility with an EV equivalent, the price difference is really quite dramatic. But once again, if you drive a lot and you have a place to charge it at home all the time, you can recapture the savings quite quickly. And it also is dependent on the jurisdiction you live in and the price of fuel. I live in Vancouver. The most expensive fuel in all of North America is right here. I was filling up a press car before we pay for the gas for the press cars, and I was going to take it back, and I was filling up at the gas station, and there was a guy in front of me with Oregon plates on. And I said to him, "Oh, how do you enjoy the sticker shock buying gas in Canada?" And he says, "I don't know what it is because it's in liters and not in gallons." I said, "That's about $7.50 a gallon." And he almost fell over. I could see him recoil. He was like, "What the hell?" And his buddy came out of the gas station and he said, "Do you know how much the gas is here?" So if you live here and you have an electric car, you can save a lot quickly. Depends where you live. And then also how clean the fuel is. So if you live here in British Columbia, we have pretty much clean energy because we spill water over a dam. Hydropower, it's very clean. We're not making electricity from natural gas or coal. Other jurisdictions, you make your fuel from natural gas or coal. And that's a much dirtier prospect than spilling water, or if you're using nuclear power, which I think is going to have a major resurgence. If we're going to really tackle CO2 emissions, if governments are really serious about this, we have to move back, not forward to nuclear power, back to nuclear power, the way we had it in the 60s and 70s. Very few new reactors have been built in North America in decades, and that's really where we got to get to, in my opinion. Another super chat. Boy, you guys are spoiling me. I'm looking at getting a new Crosstrek 2024 with a 2.5 liter, worth the upgrade to the Onyx trim. Do you know if the Onyx and limited models will be made in the U.S. plant or the Japanese plant? Okay, so the U.S. cars are going to be made in the United States. The Canadian cars are going to be coming from Japan. Now, the qualifier for that is, just a sec. Andrea? Let me call Andrea. trying to remember. One of the two engines is made in the U.S. and one is not. She might remember. Let's get Andrea on the phone. She's upstairs doing something. Two rings. Let's see. She's always got.
Hello.
Oh, hey, you're on the live show.
Hi. How's it going, everybody?
All right. So the question is, the Crosstreks that come to Canada are going to be made in Japan.
No. Yes. All Crosstreks
Okay.
made in Japan, and the 2.5-liter engine in the U.S.
U.S.
will be made in the U.S.
And the 2-liter will come from Japan.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going to say it the other way around, but thank you.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Yes. Okay. So there you go. Is it worth it to get the Onyx? So the one thing that we found out when we had a look at the Crosstrek in Toronto at the auto show is the differences between the Canadian and the U.S. market are going to be very dramatic. So we don't have a copy and paste situation. We don't have cars. The cars are even going to look quite different. They have the bronzy copper accents on them in the U.S. and we don't get that in Canada. So the Canadian cars are coming from Japan, and then the 2-liter is coming from Japan. The 2.5-liter will be made in Indiana. Okay, and so that's really the way it's going to go. So I don't know off the top of my head what's on the Onyx trim. From what I understand, in the Canadian market, the outdoor model is being replaced by the Onyx trim, and a sunroof is being added. One of the big problems with the outdoor trim in the Canadian market, it was a great value story, but it was missing the sunroof, so that's being added. What are your thoughts on Ford's proposed self-repoing vehicle technology? Have you talked with any Ford reps about this topic? Thanks again. Thank you, Danny, for the super chat. So my colleague David Booth wrote an editorial saying this is one of the worst patent ideas he'd ever heard of. So if you're not aware of this, Ford has proposed that they have a system in the car that if you don't make the payment, they can repossess the car using autonomous driving. It'll drive it back to the repossession lot or the Ford dealer, and you won't be able to drive it. Now, I think that's genius. Like, here's the nut. Don't miss a payment. Make the payments, or don't buy a car you can't afford. So I think we're gonna. I don't think it's a terrible idea. David Booth, my buddy David Booth, thought it was a terrible idea. I'm like, listen, if you make the payments, you got no issue. The problem we have is we have much more connectivity in new cars and much more control from outside sources. What you really want to know is like what kind of intelligence are they gathering from you while you're driving your car? You know, I don't know. That's more of a worry for me than it being repossessed, because I'm going to make my payment. Another super chat, limited reach. When will Honda send you the new Accord and Pilot? I emailed the PR rep just like 3 days ago. We booked some cars. We booked a Civic and an RDX. And I said, where's the Accord and the Pilot? Still waiting. And I don't know. Ford in Canada is, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're missing the boat. Another super chat. Boy, you guys are being very generous. Witchin Crown Isle Resort, May 2028. Bring your Porsche 5-speed. See you there. I don't know the Crown Isle Resort. So should I know that? I don't know that. This is Jerome who sent the picture of the empty lot there. Thanks for the line, Andrea. Oh, that's for Andrea coming in on the live show. Okay, so thank you for all those super chats. We have roughly 370 people on board right now and 88 thumbs up. So if you guys could smash the thumbs up button, that would be very helpful. It seems to help. The last few weeks, the viewership after the live show, well, first of all, the live shows have done very well. We've had over 500 people on at once, but they do much better after the fact because people can watch them when they have time, about 10 or 11,000 in the week. So it's very nice of you guys to watch. If you're not watching live, watching after the fact. Okay, back to your questions again. What's your opinion of the Jaguar F-Type S Coupe? I'm thinking of buying one. It is 20,000 kilometers. So I'm trying to remember. That's right around early days, right? For when the car first came in. I would, with any Jag, get it checked. Make sure it's mechanically sound. That's very low mileage, okay? It's barely being driven. So it could be a fantastic car. I think that the car is beautiful. There's no question about it. It's a beautiful car. The interior is a bit plastic fantastic for my liking. And there were quite a few bugs with the first generation or two of vehicles. But yeah, make sure you get it checked. That's all I would say. I don't find it logical when people talk about saving money when switching from a compact vehicle to a Tesla Model 3, for example. Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because Tesla is the one brand that people stretch the most to get into. So people who are buying, the entry-level Tesla, the Model 3, a rear-wheel drive model, for example, probably have never owned premium car before. Now, I wouldn't say that a Tesla is a luxury car in any way. I wouldn't put Tesla and luxury in the same sentence. Their interiors are just too stark and basic and barren for it to be a luxury car. However, it is a luxury price. There's no question about it. So people who have stretched the most to get into a luxury vehicle are Tesla owners. They have some of the longest amortizations of loans and some of the highest loan rates in the industry. And that is a fact. So I can see when people say, switching from a compact vehicle to a Tesla is a way of saving money. Yeah, you're saving money. That's what's in front of your face. And it's one of those things that drives me crazy. People complain about fuel prices because it's in their face. They see it every time they put the fuel in the tank. They don't calculate the overall ownership cost of the vehicle. And my line is the same. Buying a new vehicle is an expensive way to save money at the pumps. Keeping the car you have is the cheapest car to own. Trading in a vehicle, buying another one, paying for the tax, paying for the fees, paying for the delivery, paying for the PDI, paying for the dealer fees, paying for more expensive insurance because it's a newer car. You're paying to save some money at the pumps. But that's the headline number. You see that every time you fill it up. If you actually calculate it out, sometimes you're better just to drive the car that's thirstier, but you just have the car you have. I don't know. I kind of agree with you on that. Okay. We have some more super chats. Thank you very much. As per the dealer in the 2.5 engine start at the Onyx trim, is the 2.5 liter engine a big difference with the 2 liter or is there a little difference? Oh yeah. Listen, if you're going to buy a Crosstrek, you want the 2.5 liter. Okay? That's the one you want. The 2 liter is... in my opinion, the 2.5 liter is how the car should drive. Okay? The 2 liter is just too lackluster. So do yourself a favor, anybody that's considering a Crosstrek, get the 2.5 liter. That's the one you want. Okay? Mario's here with another super chat. Your opinion, RX 350h versus the Pilot 2023 Touring. Well, we're at a distinct disadvantage, as you just mentioned in one of the chats a moment ago. We are still waiting for the Pilot. So until we get the Pilot, we can't really pass judgment on it. What we do have, and we picked it up today, is the new RX. And they did a really good job with the RX. Now, we have the high performance hybrid, the 500h, not the 350. However, I want you to stay tuned because on Tuesday, we're dropping a comparison video. RX 350h, so that's a car you're considering, up against the NX 350h. And if you watch that video, you might be surprised the price difference and the value difference and the feature difference. The feature difference, the size difference is not that much, but the price difference is really quite big. So make sure you tune into that one on Tuesday. We're still waiting for the Pilot. But you kind of have to ask yourself, do you want a hybrid or not? That's really what you have to decide. Here's Sam again with another super chat. Ford says they missed 2022 revenue goals, and the quote left $2 billion in profits on the table, but have some of the most in-demand new vehicles in the market. Where do you think they went wrong? Listen, I guarantee you the problem was in supply management. Okay, the big problem a lot of car companies had was managing supply. And for them, I think it was managing expectations around some vehicles that they maybe didn't think would do as well as they actually did. One is the Maverick, was an absolute runaway success. So I guarantee you that was production capacity at the factory where they make it. Probably they didn't think they were going to need to make that many, and the demand totally outstripped what they could make. The other one is the F-150 Lightning. Hundreds of thousands of back orders for those. And they're just getting up and going with their electrification systems. And I think that's one. And then just general supply constraints and how they managed it. So if you look at Ford, they figure they left, as you mentioned in the quote, $2 billion on the table. And then you look at the way General Motors handled a lot of the same issues, which is supply management and getting the vehicles out. General Motors made huge money last year. They seem to manage it better. They focused on the vehicles that make them the most money. And those were the full-size trucks. Now, it also coincided with the introduction of a whole fleet of new vehicles from General Motors. Think the Suburban, the Tahoe, all the full-size trucks that are in such great demand. On top of new pickup trucks that had just been refreshed. The interiors of the Silverado and the Sierra had major updates for last year. But those full-size trucks absolutely slay everybody else in the auto industry. Last number I heard, GM full-size trucks have 90% market share. Okay? So every time you see at a hotel a large SUV that's shuttling people to the airport or whatever, it's almost always a General Motors full-size truck, whether it's a Suburban or an Escalade or a Tahoe or whatever it is. They absolutely dominate. So those vehicles came in, I believe, in 21 as 22s, and then they really needed to fill out the market. So people were paying huge dollars for those, and General Motors focused on those, and that's why I think they made so much money last year, because they went after the high profit vehicles. Here's Scott with a very generous super chat. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I drive 15,000 kilometers a month in Nova Scotia. Is that right? I drive 15,000 kilometers a month. That's holy man, that's a lot. I've had bad luck with Prius. Killed 2 in 3 years. Switched to Golf TDI with a stick, which I love. Unfortunately, when I wear this car out, I'm not sure what next. Any insight? Wow. That is a lot of mileage, man. So 15,000 kilometers is, what does that work out to? That's like 8,000 miles a month? Are you really driving that much? Wow, that's amazing. You know what I would, okay, if you actually are driving that much, the TDI will go a long time. So you're going to have to maintain it, but it will run a long time. What I would be doing right now is I'd be looking for another TDI because they are just absolute monsters when it comes to doing a lot of mileage. Sounds like you're doing a lot of highway driving and, great on fuel and all of that. So look for another one. If you're going to replace it with, you know what is actually really, really, really good fuel economy on the highway especially, is the new family of the 1.5 liter in the Jetta. The new Jetta 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo on the highway delivers incredible fuel economy, almost hybrid numbers, similar to what you would get with a Prius on the highway, and very nice sized car and comfortable. So that is one. And if you wanted the manual, you can get that in a Jetta. So maybe look out for another TDI keep an eye out for that. The problem is with that is people who have them know what they have, right? I mean, I have a diesel TDI engine in our car, and I know what it is, and I know there's a bunch of diesel nerds just like me out there that want them. So when they come up for sale, they get bid up, and they're quite expensive now in the used market. But the Jetta is, first of all, is a screaming deal. I kind of wonder, it would be good for you to answer this question. Now, as somebody who spends so much seat time in a car, and you're going to wear it out quickly, do you just go for the basic car and just wear it out and then move on to the next one? Or do you get a higher spec car because you're in it so much that you actually want to have some creature comforts? I mean, a Jetta, for example, will have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and we'll have the screens and all that. But you won't. You'll have manual seats. So are you just going to wear the car out and get the cheapest one you can, or are you going to get one with a few more specs on it because you live in it so much? So if you could answer that back, that would be really interesting. But you know what? I would kind of stick with I would go with the Jetta if you can't get another TDI, because the fuel economy on those on the highway is fantastic. Peter with a super chat. Thank you very much. You guys are going off on the super chats tonight. I love it. Here's AP. Does the Jaguar brand have a future in 20 to 30 years? Okay, so what has happened at Jaguar is that they are focusing, and I think it's 2025, they're going to have a full EV lineup. What that looks like, I don't know. But it better be better. It better be improved over the I-Pace, which won World Car of the Year, but they couldn't give them away. So the problem is the brand has an image perception problem. And a lot of people are just not willing to take a chance on a Jag and an electric Jag when you can now get electric cars from more reputable brands. So their plan is to relaunch Jag as a full EV brand. I believe it's 2025. We'll have to wait and see what those cars look like, or SUVs or whatever they're going to come up with. But the I-Pace is an example of a car that was universally praised, but just didn't sell. So that's what we're going to have to contend with that brand. I just want to see if he wrote back. Here's Sam with another super chat. No question this time, just wanted to say your review of the 2022 Tiguan is what made us test drive it and ultimately buy it. Appreciate your content. Well, thanks, Sam. It's great to hear back from people who actually watch the videos, get the car, and are happy with the decision. The improvements they made for this year, Tiguan, are I can't overstate how much better it is. Even though it looks the same, it's got an improved transmission programming, and the engine is being tweaked as well. The drivability of it is so much better, and I think it's one of the great interiors because it doesn't have the screen stuck on the dash like we all see now in new cars. It's integrated in nicely. The R-Line models look really good, and you know what? The value is there. They actually don't charge too much. Okay, I don't see the question from the person who drives that much. Okay, we'll keep an eye out for that. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting. 15,000 kilometers a month? That seems like it's too much. I don't know. That seems like a lot to me. Okay. So we have all those super chats. We have to get some other questions as well. Here's Jerome again. With small EV cars with smaller batteries but very efficient onboard chargers, the way to go. If you can refill from 0 to 80 in 8 to 10 minutes, who cares about range? Is that feasible? Well, the problem is that most people charge their cars at home. And so you want to have a fast enough onboard charger that it's not going to take like 12 hours. I mean, if you could do it in 6 hours and do basically what you're talking about, that's what you need. So you're talking about DC fast chargers to do 0 to 80% in 10 minutes. So the problem is, yeah, you can have a smaller battery, but that is really hard on a battery. even electric car makers say don't do DC fast charging that regularly. You do it when you need it, when you're on a road trip, but most of the time you should be charging your battery at home at a lower speed. That's one of the reasons we actually have a chance to drive. We're going to be driving the Solterra from Subaru this week, and we're also going to be driving the new Lexus RZ or RZ this week. So one is the Lexus version, one's the Subaru version, and we've already driven the Toyota version called the BZ4X, and they have a very slow onboard charger. And the reason is it's frustrating for people that want to charge quickly, but Toyota has obviously put a priority on battery longevity. They want their batteries to last or to have 90% of their capacity after 10 years. Okay? You think about that. You buy and drive a car for 10 years, and after 10 years, their target is to only lose 10% of the battery. So only 10% degradation. And they're achieving that by not over throttling the battery. And that's what they've done, the slow charging. So yes, feasibly what you're saying is true, but it would be punitive on the batteries. Hi Zach, will the turbo VTEC engines be as reliable as the naturally aspirated ones in the TLX? Okay, so if you just look, I'm just looking at Honda engines like in the Civic, for example. The regular normally aspirated 2-liter engine is more reliable and is proven to be better than the 1.5-liter turbo. I don't think the variable variable technology for the timing is really much of anything. It's the turbocharging, I think, is the stress on the engine. But VTEC has been around for 20 plus years. So I'm not going to buy a car thinking about that. I'm going to buy a car because I like it and I want to drive it. I just don't think that way. But if you're worried about it, if you really think that turbocharging and having a VTEC engine is going to be more stress on the engine, then buy one without it. That's what I always say. Some people can say, oh, I'm so worried about this and I'm so worried about a CVT and I don't know if I should get a car with a CVT. And I say, don't get one then. If you can't sleep at night because you're potentially going to have a car with a CVT, get a car without it. So if you're worried about having turbocharging and VTEC technology, get a naturally aspirated one. You kind of answer your own question in a way. Okay, here's Scott again, and he's answering back, and he says, as a follow-up, yes, he drives 15,000 kilometers a month. That's 180,000 kilometers a year. I typically buy a mid-trim with lumbar as a must. That would make sense. Also, I need cargo space, and my Golf hatchback has. Thank you. Okay, so if you have the hatchback Golf TDI, maybe look for a used Golf sport wagon. I honestly think you should try the Jetta. Because if you're doing, I can't believe you drive that much a month, 180,000 kilometers a year? That's a lot of what. First of all, you don't have to, Scott. You don't have to do a super chat. You just right below. What do you do where you're driving that much? Just right below. You don't have to do the super chat. I'm just curious. How come you're driving that much? So if the Volkswagen is being good to you, then consider the Jetta because the fuel economy on that is really quite amazing. Here's Peter with a super chat. Please recommend top 3 choices for novice female driver who wants a compact SUV that is reliable and holds value, either hybrid or gas. Okay, I would say for compact novice driver, number one choice for me, it's the number one choice for everything, is the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. Just a no-brainer. It's a car that's going to do the job day in, day out. It's like I always say, it's going to deliver the mail every day, no problem. Fuel efficient, great resale value, known reliability. That would be choice number 1. And then choice 2 and 3 would be the Korean twins, the Hyundai Tucson hybrid and the Kia Sportage or Sportage hybrid in the US. So those are the 3 I would consider, but really shoot for the moon and get the RAV4. It's not the sexiest. It's like an appliance that works every day. It's just going to do the job. Zach, your thoughts on the Nissan Murano? Is the 2024 redesign in the works? I don't know anything about a redesign. It's definitely long in the tooth. I was at the launch of that. We drove it in Half Moon Bay, California, just outside San Francisco, from what I remember. That was a long time ago. So it has been in the market a long time. The Murano is a nice size vehicle, nice interior, V6 engine. The weak point is it comes with a continuously variable transmission. Now, so was the Pathfinder up until this past year. The interesting thing is that as the Pathfinder went on, its reliability score went up, up, up. When the Pathfinder was first introduced with the same drivetrain, V6 engine, continuously variable transmission, the quality scores were not good, and most of it centered around the continuously variable transmission. But as the years went by, the quality scores went up. Now, I haven't looked at a Murano quality score in a long time. That's some homework for you to do. If the quality scores are proving to be quite good, then yes, I like the design of the car. I like the size of it, and I think the interior is quite nice. That's the only thing, is the CVT. So do a little homework on that. And yeah, it's got to be refreshed at some point or discontinued, because the Rogue has gotten bigger, right? So is there room still for a Rogue, then a Murano? Both 5-passenger vehicles, roughly the same size. So it might go away. It could go away. Here's Pierre. Timmy's for you and Andrea on your travels. Great content for you guys. Well, thank you for that. So Timmy's, if you're not from Canada, is Tim Hortons donut chain, coffee shop chain across the country. So thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. We'll take you up on your offer. Unfortunately, we're going to the States where there is no Timmy's, but we'll put it in the back pocket for now. Okay, we go. Howdy from Orlando, Florida. Well, we're not going to Florida, but we're going to be kind of close. We're heading to Atlanta in a couple of weeks. Andrea's first time to Atlanta. I think I've been to Atlanta a couple of times. What's the fancy area in Atlanta? Anyway, it's been a while since I've been to Atlanta. Looking forward to going to Florida again, too. Hello from San Diego. Well, hello back. Been to San Diego many times. Any news on the MX-70? Is Mazda top trim better purchase than an entry-level luxury SUV? I saw MX-60 reviews from Europe and looks to be up my alley. Well, first of all, we have to wait for what the production model is actually going to be like. First things first, we have to drive the CX-90, and we're going to be doing that in 3 weeks. So the production model, the inline 6-cylinder, all of that kind of stuff, and then the hybrid. So let us drive that first and give you some updates on what the new Mazdas are like to drive. But the 60 that's sold in Europe is going to be very similar to the 70 sold here. Here's Bruce. Greetings from Mesa, Arizona. I've been there. I've seen many Rivian trucks here. Are they in Canada yet? I've seen 1 or 2 here. They just started to be introduced here in the Canadian market. Do you know who Mark Castles is? Yes, I do. Christian Ducharme. Hi, Zach. Nice to see you. Here's Daniel. Any idea when the CX-70 news about its Canadian release? No, I don't. Back to your point. They got to go through the CX-90 first. So they're focusing on that. They have a huge launch they're going to be having in California. What's going on here? My program went funky. We've got to get through that first, and then we'll focus on the next one. Okay, we're back now. Listen, something funky's going on here. My computer's doing something weird. Hang on a second. Just bear with me. Oh, there it is. Okay. Which one is quicker? 158 horsepower. Sorry guys. 158 horsepower Civic or 150 horsepower Mazda, like both. Okay, so the Civic is bigger. It's a bigger car. The Mazda 3 is smaller. The Civic has a continuously variable transmission, and the Mazda has a 6-speed automatic. Off the top, I would say there's not going to be much in it. The Civic is a great car. We own one. It's a wonderful vehicle. Fast, it is not. Okay, but I would probably put my money on the Mazda 3. Do you have an update about Toyota supply chain? Is their inventory of new cars still terrible? Yes, it is. I'm not sure if you saw the beginning of the show or you're just tuning in now. Jerome sent a picture in for the picture segment of the Toyota dealer near where he lives with no cars. So, yes, it's still an issue. Oh, here's Daniel with his wrist check. This is... Okay, I'll hold it up there. See if you can guess what it is. And then I'll answer it in a few minutes. So this is my newest purchase. I got this just before Christmas. It's a watch that was introduced about 20 years ago. This is actually about a 20-year-old watch, but I bought it, and it's absolutely in mint shape. So Daniel, if you can guess what it is, I can't give you anything, but you get credit. So anyway, there you go. What's your opinion on VinFast? I think VinFast is in for a whole heap of trouble. They did a lot of things really poorly around their subscription model. And then I was reading, was it Jalopnik, I believe, had an article just last week that they've dropped the subscription model, at least in the United States. Their pricing, they had to drop their pricing. Their lease rates were, I think, $600 a month. They dropped them down to $400 a month. They are in for a whole heap of trouble if they don't get a couple of things right. Pricing, sounds like they're trying to get that under control. Range, they're reprogramming the vehicles to try and get better EPA score because their range right now is pathetic. And then they have to enter the marketplace and be reliable. And if they can do that, they have a fighting chance. Until that point, I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines like, they have done some things well. Now they've done a lot of things, I just don't know what they're up to. Not a great launch. They have massive ambitions. I just don't know how open the public is to a brand new brand from Vietnam with cars they've never seen before. And if they're not ultra competitive, why would anybody take a chance on them? Like, if you come into the marketplace, you've got to be like Hyundai and Kia were when they first arrived. Much cheaper, more features, longer warranty, all of that kind of stuff. And that's what they have to do. But the first like 50 cars were just delivered this past week to buyers in the United States. Okay, we have 491 people on board, 227 thumbs up. Hopefully we're going to get to 500 people. That would be 3 weeks in a row, but we'll have to wait and see. There you go. Zoner figured it out. It's Buckhead is in Atlanta. That's right. That's the really high-end neighborhood in Atlanta. We were there. I can't remember what car company it was. I think it was Nissan. And I couldn't believe the cars. We were at this mall, and there was this mall was crazy in Buckhead in Atlanta, and it was like Bentleys and Rolls Royces, and it was crazy. Okay. Oh, here's a super chat I missed. Any idea when you will be able to drive the new 2023 Ford Escape? No, I haven't. I haven't got an idea. We have just switched fleet managers. So we had one fleet manager we liked a lot and had for a long, long time with Ford, and they just switched to another fleet manager. So they have quite a few cars in their press fleet right now, but the Escape isn't one of them. I'm looking forward to getting it. I'm a big fan of the Escape. I think it's great. Greg P, it's not a Norris. You got to go a little higher than that. Seiko, no. Oh, I think we have a winner. Blue Ram says, it looks like a Gerard Perregaux Seahawk. You nailed it. That's what it is. It's a Gerard Perregaux Seahawk 2, which I absolutely love. It's so comfortable. There's Peter again with a super chat. Thank you very much. Okay, where are we here? We just need 6 more people to get to 500. Well, we'll just stay on until we get 6 more people. Is that being greedy? Maybe a little greedy. It's all right. It's all right. You got to have goals, right? So before we wrap up today, and we're not done for a few more minutes here, but I appreciate all the questions, right? The super chat is just a way for me to highlight that you really want the question answered. It's a small contribution to the channel, and for that I appreciate it. However, I do read all the questions. I obviously can't answer them all in the time we have here, but yes, I appreciate, and I do read them. So the good thing is I kind of get an idea of what you're interested in and what you want to know, so that's good. Okay, let's figure out where we were. Here's John. Hey, Zach, do you know why dealers offer 2-3 year of maintenance in the States and not offered in Canada? That's just a competition thing. So we do mention that in our video reviews. A lot of brands offer 2 or 3 years of maintenance. Now, just remember, it's not free. It's baked into the cost of the car, but that's just a competition thing. So once one brand starts it, then others will follow suit. I would love if they would do that in the Canadian market. We only see that really in luxury brands here. For example, BMW has it, but it's baked into the price. Will Toyota Venza come out with a PHEV? That we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. When will there be a refresh of the MDX? Will I be getting the different 3.5 in the new Honda Pilot because of the poor gas mileage? Will they bring back the Sport Hybrid? I don't know if there's any plans for the hybrid. Yes, I mean, the vehicle came out 2 years ago. So yeah, they would have another year or so to go before they're going to refresh it. They're not. The one thing about Honda and Acura is they don't change quickly. They produce vehicles and they leave them in the marketplace for a long period of time. So it's not going to be quick. You know, they could come up with a mid-cycle refresh and update the engine, but I wouldn't bet on it. In Quebec, if Quebec is the main market for cars, instead of SUVs in North America, why aren't car makers make it a priority instead of small allocations like we have now? Well, if there's more cars sold in Quebec than any other jurisdiction, and if you're not aware, in Quebec they still like cars, and they still like small cars, and they still like cars with manual transmission because they're so French, right? But it's not, even with that, it's still not a big market. Right? If you look at the overall global marketplace, and then you look at the North American marketplace, and then you look at Quebec, it's a good size of our Canadian market, but it's still peanuts compared to the rest of North America. What do you think of the GR Corolla and the price tag? $50,000 for a stripped down Corolla. Golf R has it beaten. Well, if you want to know our thoughts, Marky Mark, the video went up yesterday. So you haven't watched the video, obviously. Carl Clark, love your channel. Great info. Appreciate that. Jackson Barrett, would you go for an F-150 Platinum or an F-150 Raptor? Both incredibly evenly spec'd besides the off-road advantage of the Raptor. I would say if you can get a Raptor, I'd buy a Raptor just purely for resale value. Like an F-150, it's the most popular vehicle, period, in North America. They make more of those than anything else, period. There's no vehicle they sell more of than the F-150. Now then you look at the little sliver that is the F-150 Raptor. Now that has a totally different following. So if you can get a Raptor and you're spending all of that money, you might as well get a lot of it back when you go to sell it. And that, my friend, is the Raptor, not the Platinum. Hey Zach, Kia V9 will soon be unveiled. Pre-interior shots look impressive. Exterior is reminiscent of the Telluride. Well, I can't really say anything other than stay tuned. It's going to be shown in New York. But stay tuned to this channel to get some insight on that. Hey, we're over 500. 504 people. Awesome. 3 weeks in a row. Awesome. 274 thumbs up. If you guys could smash the thumbs up, that would be fantastic. All right. Let's go down to the bottom here because I think I saw another super chat. My T-Bird again. 508 on board. It's a hat trick. Well, that's good. WI Watch Guy. GR Corolla is ugly, especially the back end. Zach, you didn't mention it, but would you say the Mazda 3 hatch is a Corolla GR alternative? Mini Cooper, John Cooper Works. It's funny because I did mention to Andrea in the review, before we did the review, that we could put the John Cooper Works manual in our for your consideration segment. We only have 4 spots, but that would, I would say the John Cooper Works Mini absolutely would be a contender. However, it's just front wheel drive, unless you get a Countryman, but that's not available with a manual transmission. And then one thing that we left out of the video is who could actually make this car quite easily. And Mazda is the brand that could do it. They have the pieces. They've got the 2.5 liter turbo engine. They've got the platform. They have the tech. They have the capability to produce a Mazda Speed 3 again. The people that are in charge of their dynamics and handling department, they know what they're doing. And they obviously have a manual transmission that they sell in other lower horsepower Mazda 3s. So they could pull it off. Maybe with the success of the GR Corolla, they might consider it. Doesn't seem to be a focus there. The Mazda Speed thing is all but done. Some cool versions. We did have a Mazda Speed 3, we did have a Mazda Speed 6, and then they just stopped doing it. But they're one brand that could do it. Right now, I would say no, it is not a contender for the Corolla. In my opinion, the greatest contender for the Corolla is the Golf R, and the Golf R offers way more content. And I would say a broader range of power. The GR Corolla is good power in the mid rev range, very good power, 300 horsepower. The mid rev torque is fantastic. However, you've got a small 3-cylinder turbo, and then at the Golf R you've got a larger displacement 2-liter turbo. It's just got a broader spectrum of available power, especially for higher speed driving. So the GR Corolla is fun. But it didn't blow me away. Like, I took it back today, and I had some fun with it on the way back. But it's not a car I would pine to own. I would love a Golf R. However, I just don't like the interior. There you go. Okay, we are over our time now, unless I think we just got one more super chat popped in, so we'll do that before we go. Here it is, and then we'll say thank you for watching. Looking for a new small hatchback for my graduating daughter. No inventory for Rio. Any suggestions for an alternative, or should we just buy used and wait for a couple of years? So you're wanting small and inexpensive. I'm not sure if the Chevrolet Spark it's going to be discontinued or if it's still available. This is you're wanting an inexpensive fuel efficient vehicle. So there's not that many left in the subcompact space. Like the Honda Fit is gone, the Toyota Yaris is gone, or Yaris is gone. So you're looking at the Chevrolet Spark, which is actually not a bad little car. Comes with 10 standard airbags, comes with Wi-Fi, it comes with OnStar. It's actually really nicely equipped. The budget-friendly one is the Mitsubishi Mirage. Very basic car. And the Rio. I like the Rio the most of the bunch, but everything else is going away, which is a shame. So what else could you buy that is maybe a little bit more money? I would look at something like a Kia Forte sedan if you're interested in a sedan, or a Hyundai Elantra. in the sedan might be something to consider. But yeah, those are really your three that I can think of off the top of my head in the subcompact space that are still being sold. So yeah, you might want to maybe look for a used, like a Civic hatchback, something like that would be a great first car. Absolutely fantastic first car. Civic hatchback if you're really stuck on getting a hatchback, okay? All right, we are past our time here. Thanks to everybody who's been on board. You guys spoiled us tonight with all these super chats. Thank you. I'm going to shut it off now, but I do read all the comments. So thank you very much. And we will be back next week. And until then, have a great week, everybody.